Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is my favourite video of every month, and that is the wrap up. So this is my February reading wrap up. These are the physical books that I've read, but I did read quite a lot on my Kindle, so we've got quite a few to go through. I think around 13 in total. A lot of them were on my Kindle, one of them was an audiobook, but let's just get into it. I read book 3 and book 4 of the Legacy of God series by Rena Kent. This is a dark romance series, so check trigger warnings if you're ever going to read it, because it's very unhinged. Like, it is very unhinged. This one, the third book, God of Wrath, has actually been my favourite so far, just because the two people that are in the two main characters in this book, even as side characters, they were two of my favourites anyway. So as individuals, I like them anyway, like both of them. So then them being together just works. Yeah, that just works for me. It does something for me. I absolutely loved it. I bought into this love story the most. Whereas with this one, I didn't really. This was fine. Like, still had a good time, and I'm enjoying the series as a whole. If you like dark romance, I do highly recommend it. They're really easy to read. So yeah, but just with this one and with the second one, I didn't buy into the actual relationship and the love story as much as I did with God of Wrath and God of Malice. But I'm really, really excited to carry on with the rest of the series. I think there's another 2 books, so can't wait to carry on with that. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is a romance, and it's if you've ever watched the film Sleepless in Seattle, it's very much like that. Our male main character Aiden is a radio show kind of like host. He has like he's like kind of like an agony aunt for people that are like unlucky in love or whatever, but on this radio show. And Lucy is a hopeless romantic, and she ends up being on the radio show, and it kind of goes viral, and everyone is then suddenly really, really invested in Lucy and in Aiden helping Lucy find the romance that she deserves. Yeah, it's just one for the romance lovers. Like, this is how a romance book should be done. It's so cute, it's so romantic, the writing is gorgeous. I love B.K. Borison as an author anyway. I think I just love her writing every time. She never misses. So highly, highly recommend if you love a nice, fluffy, cute romance. This is the one for you. Heavenly Bodies by Amani Eriu. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that surname. But Heavenly Bodies, this is a celestial romanticer, and I had the best time reading this book. This was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. But also like had me on the edge of my seat as well. So yeah, perfect mix of everything really. I am really terrible at explaining fantasies without spoiling it, so I'm not really going to tell you what it's about, but it is very celestial. So if you're into like stars and fated mates and all stuff like that and prophecies, you will probably really like this. It is very, very slow burn as well. There's lots of tension, so if that sounds like it's up your street, then give this a read. There is going to be a book 2, which I think comes out this year, which I'm really glad about, because as always with any romanticer, it's going to end on a cliffhanger, let's be quite honest. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this one though. Couldn't put it down. Loved it so much. Now I'll tell you the books that I read on my Kindle. So the first book I read on my Kindle was City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. I am quite honestly obsessed with that book. Like, it is one of the best books I've read this year for sure. I think it will definitely be in my top books of 2025 because it's perfect. So that is an urban romanticer, and basically our female main character is a human and our male main character is one of the devils, and he's also like, he's just a badass. Like, he is just a badass, and he's basically like a hitman kind of as well, but like he kills bad people. And someone basically offers him like absolutely millions to capture this human girl, and he's kind of like, in their world, humans aren't worth anything. Like, humans are kind of like irrelevant in their world, to be honest. So he's kind of like, why does someone want this human girl? Like, why is someone willing to pay so much for me to find this human girl? Like, why? So that piques his interest, and he does find her, but instead of capturing her, he actually is like, you know what, I'm gonna help you then. I'm gonna help you try and figure out why people are after you. So he basically becomes like her bodyguard. So And then alongside that, we've got the mystery of trying to figure out who wants her, why do they want her, like, what the hell. This is literally the slowest of slow burns that has ever slow burned. And the tension, like, I was on the edge of my seat, like, any interaction between them, I was, like, foaming at the mouth for. I could not put it down. So many great side characters as well. The plot was plotting. I was, like, on the edge of my seat. I was wanting to know what was going on, because there's a mystery about it as well. You're really dying to find out what's happening. Like, wow, it was just amazing. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. On that note, I've also read book 2, which is City of Souls and Sinners. This one I, again, thoroughly enjoyed. I just love being in this world, in this universe. I love all of the characters. We've got a few more POVs in this one as well. Again, really, really fast-paced. Love it, love it, love it. The only thing I will say is that this second book felt so long. Like, I mean, they are long. I'm sure they're like 900 pages or something. But the first book didn't feel like it. The first book flew through it. But the second book, it felt long. Like, it felt like it didn't need to be that long. Do you know what I mean? So that was the only thing I would say wasn't vibing with that. But I'm still going to carry on with the series. Really excited to read book 3. Can't wait. So yeah, highly, highly recommend. Then I read one of my favourite books that I've ever read in my whole life, actually. It's in my, like, now in my top favourite romance books of all time, up there with Beach Read by Emily Henry. Like, that's how much I absolutely adored this book. And that is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, which doesn't actually come out until the 1st of April. But I was lucky enough to get an ARC on NetGalley. So I read that, and when I tell you, it's been a hot minute since a romance book has, like, really captured me like that. Like, it really, really just captivated me. Like, oh my God, some of the quotes from it, the writing was just absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous. I loved both of the main characters. I loved them both. I wanted the best for them both. I loved the way, I just loved them as people. I thought they were such well-developed, like, healthy people. And, you know, luck wasn't really always on their side, and they just had a lot to, they had a lot to deal with. They had a lot, like, going against them, and just the way they communicate, the way they communicated, the way they worked through things, like, just the way they were as individuals and with each other, like, oh my God, literally so perfect. Again, loads of really likeable side characters. Abby Jimenez, I just think, is a brilliant author, and I can't even give you, like, I can't even pinpoint a specific reason. I just loved every single thing about it. I loved everything about it, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't got it pre-ordered, you absolutely need to, because it was so good. Like, I was crying my eyes out, but not even at sad parts. I just was crying because I was so captivated by these people and this story. Like, and the writing was so lyrical and poetic. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved it so much. Then for my book club's pick for February, we read Sunday Morning by Julianne, and I was so pleasantly surprised with this book. So this book is very similar to the film Footloose, in the way that our female main character is the pastor's daughter, and so she's dating this guy, and basically her and this guy are together because, for the sake of the families, really. They don't really want to be together, like, they're more friends, really, but they're doing it for the sake of the families. Obviously, our female main character, she tries to do, like, what her family would want, what God would want. Like, she's very, you know, like, it's that kind of vibe. And insert boyfriend's older brother, who's, like, been out of town for a while. He's known as the bad boy, and he's kind of, like, down bad for this girl. Like, he's down bad for our female main character from the get-go, really. And then the story kind of just unfolds from there. So it is romance. There is some little twists and turns along the way, you know, lies, secrets, betrayals, all of that kind of stuff. And also, like, it was really emotional as well, and it's all about this young girl, like, really finding herself and, like, finding her place in the world, and, you know, how she can do what she wants to do and what will make her happy, but whilst also navigating, like, trying to not hurt everyone else. So it was just, like, it was complicated, messy, cute, romantic. Like, it was just kind of everything, and it was really, really nice. It was really unique. I haven't read any book like that before, so I really had a good time. The feedback from the book club, everyone seemed to really, really enjoy it, so love that. If you do want to join my book club, by the way, here's a plug. Like, I'm just plugging myself here. On that note as well, I read From Nowhere by Julianne, which is the second book in, I can't remember the name of the series, but it's the second book in a series. The first book is From Air. From Nowhere is not actually out yet. I'm trying to find out when it's out. From Nowhere is out on the 4th of March, so I think that's Tuesday. This is the second book in the series. I really liked it. The only thing I would say, basically, so this one is, it's a single dad. These two people, they meet, they like each other. He's a single dad. His life is really, really complicated because his in-laws are basically living with him to help him look after his daughter. He very much is like, so, like, his daughter is just his everything, like, as she should be, like, and he really, like, you know, tries to navigate making sure that she is the absolute priority and, like, whatnot. But they've been through a lot as a family, so he's just, like, a really complicated guy to date, really. And our female main character, you know, she does find that quite hard, and you know, they just kind of have to navigate that situation. It's funny, it's cute, it's romantic, it's spicy. It's also, you know, it also is emotional as well. I really enjoyed it. Really, really easy to read, really bingeable. You can just read it in one sitting, really. And the only thing I will say is the female main character was annoying me a bit, in that, like, some of the decisions that our male main character was making, she was like almost too understanding that it just wasn't even realistic. Like, any female would be annoyed and would, like, say something, and she just, I don't know, she just kind of, like, I wanted her to be a bit more fiery, I think. That's all. But other than that, yeah, really, really good. Comes out on Tuesday, so I highly recommend starting the series. Another arc, guys. February was such a good month for arcs for me. I got an arc of, one sec, Gracie Abrams tickets. I've just got a notification. Please give me this ticket. Josh, I can't answer the phone right now. I didn't get the Gracie Abrams tickets. Anyway, I got an arc of Riding the High by Paisley Hope, which is the third, is it the third? Yeah, the third book in the Silver Pine series, which is a series that I absolutely love and adore. I read the first book, Holding the Reins, before it was traditionally published, so I read it when it, like, was first, like, when Paisley first, like, published it herself, and it was on Kindle Unlimited and stuff, and I instantly just knew I was going to love it. Like, I knew it was going to be, like, a favourite series of mine, because I love all of the characters. I just love the place. Like, I just love the setting of it. I just really, really enjoy it, and, like, I just love this series so much. So this was Cole and Ginger's book, and again, I know I've said it before about other books, but Cole and Ginger, there'd been, like, a lot of banter between them throughout all the other books. Like, the first two books, you could really tell that Cole and Ginger, like, something was going on there. So I was so excited for this book, and it didn't disappoint. I binged it, read it in less than 24 hours, had the best time, was laughing, giggling, kicking my feet, blushing. Oh my god, just so much fun. This is like, I don't really want to tell you the tropes because it'll ruin it. You know, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to ruin it. If I tell you the tropes, it'll ruin it. So just read it. Just read the series. If you like cowboy romance, read the Silver Pine series. That's all I'll say. Then I read Slapshot by Chelsea Curto, which is the third book in the DC Stars series. If you are a fan of sports romance and you haven't read this series, then what are you actually doing? It's on Kindle Unlimited. The first book is Face Off, second book is Power Play, third book is Slapshot. And yeah, each book follows a different guy from the team, basically. But I absolutely eat these books up. I am eating them up. I've loved every single one of them. And this one in particular, we've got our female main character is a single mum, and she's been hired as kind of like a personal chef for one of the guys on the team. So yeah, it kind of goes from there. It's really, really super slow burn. It's super romantic. It's so cute. It's so lovely. It's such a good time, such an easy read. I just adore this series. I absolutely adore this series. Like, I think it's brilliant, so go and read it. I also had an arc of Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage, which is the fourth and final book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. This was Dusty and Cam's story, and Dusty and Cam have basically been hinted at throughout the other books. They've been very, like, prominent side characters, and we knew something had gone on with them. Like, there was obviously a link there between them, and we never knew what it was. But yeah, this last book is their book. It was really easy to read, binged it, read it really, really quick. Lila Sage, as an author. I think her writing just gets better and better with each book. It gets more lyrical, it gets more poetic and metaphorical. Like, I just think you can see the improvement in her writing in each book. And I loved Done and Dusted, the first book anyway, so, you know, I've always liked her writing, but yeah, I just think it gets better and better. Really, really good. Only thing I will say about this, so we get past and present chapters, which I really, really enjoyed, and I actually, for once in my life, loved the past chapters. Usually I hate past chapters. I'm like, oh my god, why do I care about this? Like, I just want to be in the moment, like in the present day. But actually I loved the past chapters, and I think the reason for that was just because I felt like in the present day we didn't really get enough interaction between them at first, and I kind of was getting, as the further along I was getting in the book, I was kind of like, how are we gonna reach a conclusion here? Because you bet, like, you've not really had that many interactions in the present day. So when I say slow burn, it is seriously a slow burn. But I just found the female main character just like, I just didn't really like her, to be honest. Like, but I loved the male main character. I loved just being in this little world again. I think it's so cute, it's so fun, it's so just romantic and cute, and just a good fluffy nice spicy time. That's what this series is really. So I do recommend it, especially if you've read the other books, then you've got to read this one. And yeah, if you haven't read this series, I do recommend the series if you like cowboy romance. Really, really, they're just good bingeable reads, to be honest. Wild and Wrangled is out on 15th of April, so mark your calendars. And lastly, final book I read this month, or actually listened to, because I listened to the audiobook, and that was In the Blink of an Eye by Joe Callahan. I was so pleasantly surprised by this book. So this is basically, the government are wanting to trial this like AI detective kind of system. So what they do is they get a group together of like actual detectives, and then they utilize and do a trial run of this AI detective. And obviously, as an AI detective, this AI detective called Locke, he's really focused on like statistics, numbers, like, and you know, facts. And the head of the team, Detective Kat Frank, she is really focused on like, well, you need to, you know, like human emotion and being able to read people's body language and get the vibe from them and stuff like that. So like, it's really interesting to see both the two different takes on things and where they disagree and stuff, and how they can both help each other out. What they're doing as part of this trial anyway is they're reviewing cold cases, and naturally the cold cases come back to life because they start to find stuff out. So we've obviously got the whole AI detective kind of thing going on, which is really interesting. And then we've got the cold cases, and we're like actually trying to solve those cold cases, and they are just like unraveling more, like it's chaos, it's pure chaos. I was literally kept me on my toes, really enjoyed the audiobook of it, loved it. Really, really loved it. I was so pleasantly surprised as well, because like kind of like mystery thriller genre is not a genre I read a lot of. I do tend to enjoy it when I do read it, but it's just not something that I typically reach for. So I was really, really pleasantly surprised with this book. I just thought it was really nice. It was just like really good time, really interesting, really gripping. Yeah, brilliant, loved it. So that was my February reading wrap up. I think that was such a brilliant month. My favourite book of the month was probably Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, or City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. Those are my two like standouts, absolute standouts. Loved them so much. But overall, I've had such a good month. I've read so many amazing books, and I've found this year, like I've said it in a previous video, my goal this year was to actually slow my reading down and to really focus on like quality over quantity. And I've found that I am actually really enjoying the books that I'm reading a lot more, and I'm remembering them. Like last year I read 250 books, and half of them like probably can't even remember what happened, because I was just like flying through them like I was like reading books like you drink a drink. Like it really, you know, like I don't know, like it didn't, yeah, it was just, it's hard to explain, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But since I've really slowed down my reading, I feel like the quality of the books I'm reading, like I'm really like getting into them more, I'm focusing on them more, I'm spending more time actually reading and like absorbing the words, and yeah, I'm just loving it. So again, another brilliant, amazing, successful month. I've loved so many books. There's none really in here that I didn't like, to be fair. Really liked them all. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys read in February. What was your favourite book that you read in February? Got any recommendations for me? Also, let me know if you've got any videos that you want me to do specifically. I will do that. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, thank you. I love you for being here. See you next time.